Today, we're going to talk about something really cool, the science behind what makes a life not just okay, but truly awesome. We're going to go way beyond just surviving and actually look at the science of how to flourish.
So let me just start by asking you a question, and be honest with yourself. Are you just getting by day to day, or are you genuinely, truly thriving? Thinking about this question, it's actually sparked a whole revolution in how we look at mental health.
You know, for the longest time, psychology was pretty much all about this stuff on the left: fixing problems, treating disorders, relieving suffering. And of course, that's incredibly important. But starting in the late 90s, a new field called positive psychology basically flipped the script. It started asking a different question. Instead of just what's wrong, how about what's right? What allows us to truly flourish?
So where do we even begin this journey to flourishing? Well, it all kicks off with this incredibly powerful engine that drives everything we do. And that engine is hope. But listen, this is not about crossing your fingers and wishing for the best. As we're about to see, hope is an active, trainable, cognitive skill.
Okay, let's break this down. The first piece of the puzzle, according to hope theory from psychologist Charles R. Snyder, is agency. Now, you can just think of this as good old-fashioned willpower. It's that voice in your head, that deep-down belief that says, yeah, I can do this, I've got what it takes to get this ball rolling and to see it through.
But willpower isn't the whole story. You need the second piece, and that's pathways. You can call this waypower. This is all about your strategy. It's your ability to come up with different routes to get to your goal. So when you hit a wall, and you will hit a wall, someone with high waypower doesn't just quit. They think, okay, plan A didn't work. What's plan B? What's plan C?
And when you put those two things together, that powerful "I can do this" of willpower and the clever "I'll find a way" of waypower, the results are honestly pretty remarkable. Study after study shows that people with high hope aren't just dreamers, they're doers. They set tougher goals, they stick with them longer, and they bounce back from setbacks way faster. And all of that leads to more success and, you guessed it, a much greater sense of well-being.
So if hope is the engine, what's the car we're building? What's the actual blueprint for this whole flourishing life thing? Well, Dr. Martin Seligman, one of the founders of positive psychology, he came up with a model to answer that exact question.
He identified 5 kind of non-negotiable building blocks, and they form this really easy-to-remember acronym, PERMA. So you've got P for positive emotion, feeling good, joy, contentment. E is for engagement, that's being totally lost in an activity. R is for relationships. We need those deep, authentic connections. M is for meaning, feeling like you're part of something bigger than yourself. And A is for accomplishment, that drive to achieve and master things.
And here's where it all connects, right? That engine of hope we were just talking about, that willpower and waypower, it's not just floating out there on its own. It's the direct fuel for at least 2 of these PERMA pillars, our drive for accomplishment and all the positive emotion we get from going after and hitting our goals.
Okay, let's zoom in a little bit. We're going to focus on that E for engagement. Because when you're truly deeply engaged in something, man, something incredible happens. You can tap into this really powerful state of mind. And the psychologist who literally wrote the book on this was Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. He called this state flow. You've probably heard it called being in the zone. It's that magical state of optimal experience where you are so completely absorbed in what you're doing that the rest of the world just fades away.
And this chart here, it explains it perfectly. See, flow doesn't happen when you're doing something super easy. That's just boredom. And it's definitely not going to happen when you're trying to do something impossibly hard. That's just pure anxiety. Flow lives right in that sweet spot, that perfect channel where the challenge is high, but your skills are right there to meet it.
So what does it actually feel like to be in flow? Well, your focus is just total. It's so intense that you and the activity kind of become one. You stop feeling self-conscious, you're not worried about what other people think, time gets all weird, hours can feel like minutes. And the best part, the activity itself is the reward. You're doing it just for the love of doing it.
Now, this all sounds great, right? But is it just a feeling, or can we actually measure it? Can we see someone being in the zone, in their brain? And the answer, which is so cool, is a huge yes.
So using technology like this is a portable EEG headset, it's totally non-invasive. Scientists can literally monitor brainwave activity as it's happening. They can see the signature patterns for different mental states, including flow.
And this is where it gets really interesting. They didn't just keep this in some quiet lab. They took it out into the real world, into a high-pressure environment. They studied the brain activity of professional golfers while they were practicing.
And get this, the results were just stunning. They took the flow state that was calculated from the brainwave data, and they compared it to what the golfers said they were feeling on a questionnaire. And the difference between the hard data and the personal feeling? A tiny 9%.
I mean, just look at this table. The numbers are almost identical. The score that the headset calculated from the brain data was 0.70. The score the athletes gave themselves based on how they felt was 0.75. That is an incredibly tight match. It's just amazing validation that what we feel inside has a real, measurable signature in the brain.
So what the heck is going on in our brains when this happens? Well, there's this big fancy term for it, transient hypofrontality. But all it really means is that a specific part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for your inner critic, the part that overthinks and doubts everything, it just temporarily goes quiet. It powers down, letting your highly practiced skills just take over without any interference.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. The path to thriving isn't some secret code or a magic pill. It's a journey. It starts with building that hopeful mindset, your willpower and your way power. You use that engine to build a truly flourishing life, hitting all 5 pillars of PERMA. And that in turn sets the stage for you to have more of these incredible peak experiences of flow.
Which really just leaves us with one last question. For you, take a look at your own life, your work, your hobbies, your passions. Where is that sweet spot?